tell us, he's trying to help us out here. If you want to make a comeback, Bartimaeus' story recommends to us the following course of action. It's in the text. First, he says you got to holler out. Then he says you better hop up. And finally, you must hope. It's in the text, I'm promising you. It's right in the text. The first step, if you want to come back from life's setbacks, Bartimaeus says you got to holler out. Verses 46 through 48. Look at that text. Now they came to Jericho. The text says, and as he went out of Jericho with his disciples, a great multitude, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the road begging. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. Then many warned him to be quiet, but he cried out all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. Bartimaeus wanted to come back. Bartimaeus began to holler. He cries out to God in radical prayer and radical praise. And that praise is so pressing, that prayer is so urgent that it can't be contained. Even when folk around him want him to be quiet, Bartimaeus reminds us that when you need something from the Lord, you better be prepared to holler, to pray and to praise and to keep on hollering until God stands still. That's what the text says in verse 49. The text says, so Jesus stood still. The word so makes it clear that Jesus stood still because Bartimaeus hollered. In the midst of the crowd, Jesus stopped and took note of Bartimaeus' prayer and his praise. Let's be clear, y'all. Jesus knew Bartimaeus was in the crowd. He even knew that Bartimaeus had suffered a setback. It wasn't Bartimaeus' presence. It wasn't Bartimaeus' problem that made Jesus stand still. It was the fact that he hollered. Listen, I'll never forget the first time I heard my youngest daughter, Anne Marie, holler. She's about a year old. She was downstairs. She'd been playing with the family dog. I was upstairs, and I heard my baby holler. I literally dropped everything I was doing. The book I was reading, the sandwich I was eating, the Kool-Aid I was drinking, forgotten. Because I heard my baby girl holler. I stood up. I stood still. I was in the living room. She was in the den. She hollered, and everything stopped. Anybody here ever heard somebody you love holler? Mama will leave what she's cooking on the stove. Daddy will let the lawnmower keep on running. That's how Jesus reacts when we holler. When you holler, when you cry out to the Lord, he'll come see about you. I wish I had a witness. Come here, David. I hear you, David. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all of his trouble. If you holler, he'll help. If you holler, if you pray and praise with intensity, the God of the universe will stand still and hear your holler. If you holler, the promise of the text is Jesus will stop by, stand still, and he'll come see about you. Now, when Jesus stands still, when he stands still to hear you holler, then you better be ready to hop up. You holler out, but then you got to hop up. That's the message of the text. Check out verses 49 and 50. So Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. They called the blind man, said to him, be of good cheer, rise, he's calling for you. Verse 50 says, and throwing aside his garment, he rose and came to Jesus. Look at the text, makes it clear that Bartimaeus did more than just holler. Bartimaeus started with a holler, but when it was time to move forward to respond to the call of Jesus, Bartimaeus, the text says he hopped up. In fact, the text says Bartimaeus hopped up so fast that he threw aside his garment as he rose to meet Jesus. Don't miss that Bartimaeus threw aside his garment. King James says it was his cloak. That's not a meaningless detail in the text. Listen here, as a beggar, Bartimaeus' cloak, his garment, was his only possession. It was his shelter from the elements, and it doubled as his collection plate. In the days of the Bible, a beggar would take his cloak and cover himself up. And then in good weather, he'd take that cloak and spread it out on the ground to collect the donations that people would throw at him. A beggar's cloak was his protection. but it was also his bank. So when he throws off his cloak, Bartimaeus is making a significant statement. Bartimaeus says, I'm leaving everything behind and trusting that Jesus, who has heard my holler, is going to provide me with everything I need. Look at when he throws off his cloak, Bartimaeus is leaving his old way of life behind, determined that God will provide a new way for him to feed himself. When he throws off the cloak, Bartimaeus is declaring in faith that God is going to protect and shield him and comfort him when he throws off the cloak. Bartimaeus is declaring that he's going to make a change, that he's ready to begin again, that he's prepared to make a comeback from the setback. And notice Bartimaeus doesn't just throw off the cloak. When he hops up, the text says, and throwing aside his garment, it says, he rose. He stood up. He got on his feet. Don't miss it. When he stood, Bartimaeus changed his perspective. He changed his vantage point. To rise is to take charge of your circumstances. To rise is to note that you are willing to actively participate in the course of your life instead of just sitting by the roadside, watching life pass you by. See, as a beggar, Bartimaeus sat by the roadside watching life move by him. But when he heard Jesus was passing by, he understood it was time to hop up, to shed his baggage, to change his perspective. Can I just tell you, God will not force a comeback on you. You got to hop up. You've got to rise to meet the Lord when he stands still to come see about you. Hop up and get in position to receive the comeback. Bartimaeus hopped up because he was ready for what the Lord was going to do. See, all too often, church folk, we good at hollering, but we ain't ready to hop up. We done hooped and hollered, we've snotted and we've cried, we prayed and we pleaded, but we ain't ready to move beyond the challenge that caused us to suffer the setback in the first place. Look here, if you ain't ready to budget, ain't no sense in hollering to the Lord to give you a comeback from your financial setback. If you ain't ready to do what the doctor says, quit asking the Lord to heal you. If you ain't ready to get rid of that no-count lazy, no-count low-down rascal, don't keep asking God to give you a comeback from your emotional setback. If you want to come back, you got to let go of the condition that caused you to be set back in the first place. You got to hop up and rise above it. All too often, we miss the opportunity to come back, not because we don't know we've been set back. The problem is we ain't ready to hop up. We aren't willing to change our position. But if you want to come back, you got to be ready to take off that security blanket, to stand up and rise. Oftentimes, the thing holding us back is not that we haven't hollered, it's just we ain't hopped up. Because you see, to hop up is the evidence that we have hope. Bartimaeus' story reminds us that we got to holler, then we got to hop up, but finally we must have hope. Look at the exchange between Bartimaeus and Jesus in verse 51. So Jesus answered and said to him, what do you want me to do for you? Blind man said to him, Rabboni, that I may receive or recover my sight. Then Jesus said to him, go your way. Your faith has made you well. There it is, y'all, hope. Hope allowed Bartimaeus to make the comeback from his setback. The text is clear. Bartimaeus recovered his sight. He was restored on the basis of his faith. Jesus said, your faith, the evidence of things hoped for, your faith has made you well. Jesus responded to Bartimaeus' holler and his hopping up by giving Bartimaeus what he hoped for. A setback caused Bartimaeus to go blind, but a comeback restored his sight. Look, Mark opens that story quite matter-of-factly. He says, blind Bartimaeus sat by the road begging. But the text also ends matter-of-factly because it ends with Bartimaeus' full recovery. Bartimaeus hollered out, Bartimaeus hopped up, and Bartimaeus had hope, and that's what it took for him, and that's what it takes for us. And every now and then, I can only speak for myself, every now and then I need a comeback from the setbacks in my own life. I'm glad I serve a God who will restore. I'm glad I don't have to remain in my setback condition, sitting at the side of the road watching life pass me by as I beg. I understand now what David meant when he wrote, "The Lord is my shepherd. He restores my soul." Because I declare to you that if you holler out in prayer and praise, if you hop up and leave your mess and hope by putting your faith in God, he'll restore you. Listen, he doesn't just fix the problem, he'll hit the reset button and give you a do-over. God grants that kind of a comeback. And when you come back, you'll be like Marvin Sapp says, you'll be stronger, you'll be wiser, you'll be better. Jesus will grant a comeback that'll change the rules in the middle of the game and catapult you to places you never thought you would be. He can do exceeding abundantly above all you could ask or think. He will restore because he's just that kind of God. I dare you to holler out, to hop up and have some hope. The Lord will do it like he said he'd do it. He'll give you a comeback from every one of your setbacks. I'm a witness that the Lord will change your pain into possibility. He'll turn your trials into your triumph. He'll take your breakdown and make it a breakthrough. He'll remake your problem into your promise. Won't he do it? My granddaddy said, yeah, he will. Won't he will? Yes! If you want a comeback from your setback, just holler out, pop up, and have hope. I know what the Lord has done for me. I hollered out, and God heard. I hopped up, and God helped out. I hoped, and God honored his promise. Troubled on every side, but not distressed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. Because the Lord has been that good. He'll give you a comeback from every setback. I'm so glad Jesus lifted me. I'm so glad Jesus lifted me. That's why I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall be in my mouth. My soul will make her boast in the Lord. Oh, magnify the Lord with me. Lift him up because he's worthy. Lift him up because he's great. Yes! 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 You can come back from life's setbacks. You don't have to stay on the side of the road begging. The Lord offers a comeback from every setback in your life. Just holler out, hop up, and keep hope. And the Lord has promised, he's promised a comeback for every one of life's setbacks. Amen.